Hello and welcome to How to Master Baku on F124 with the full track guide, explanation and world record hot lap combined into one video for you here today. We're going to be covering all the details about braking, turning and acceleration on the track, my full setup and as well the explanation combined with the full world record hot lap as well. And we're going to be showing you that at the end of the video. First of all, I want to be breaking down every nuanced detail of this track so then you can learn it first and absorb the information when you watch the hot lap later in the video. So turn 1, you're arriving at such a high speed and you're going to be braking at the 100 meter board on the right hand side or just before the curbing starting. You can actually run 2 wheels on the curbing on the outside on this year's iteration of the Formula 1 game, and the traction and the stability is still pretty good, so you want to be doing that and going down into 4th gear. You don't really want to be taking too much of the curbing on the inside as it's quite big and can easily unsettle the car, so just skimming the white line with your inside tyre is the optimal way to go about it. And the same is basically true with the outside curbing as well. You can see that the curb is quite high, so you do not want to run fully over the curbing like this, otherwise you risk for the car to bottom out. Ideally you just run 2 wheels on the outside curbing and that's the ideal way to go about it. Into a really difficult corner too, and you're going to be braking where this curb on the wall, on the right hand side, is actually becoming straight, and that's a really good reference point to reverse, to exaggerate the point a little bit more for you. Of course you can see where the wall is angled, and then when it becomes straight, wait for there and then brake between halfway here and the 50 meter board, and that is the perfect place to be braking for this corner. So just about here, around 70 meters before the corner is optimal. In the corner itself, I like to be running as much inside curbing as possible. It feels really strange to do, but on this year's game you can get away with it, that you're basically running the car right up against the wall even while taking a massive chunk of the inside curbing. On the exit, use up all the track and open up DRS as soon as possible. If you keep your wheel perfectly pointed in a straight line, you'll find yourself to the inside of the track, what can minimize a few meters down this DRS straight. So you can see I'm keeping my wheel perfectly straight, and it actually means I meet the outside wall just before the braking zone in a really optimal way. So doing this can minimize some distance down the straight and gain you a few thousandths of a second. You'll be in 8th gear as you arrive at the 100 meter board, and you'll be braking as hard as possible at the 100 meter board down into 4th gear. I quite like for this apex. You can take it in 3rd, but I prefer 4th, so a little bit more stability, and again getting as close to this inside wall as possible, and then using up the outside of the track as well, right up against the wall, pulling the car hard left, and you can see the trees are actually covering the 50 meter board, but somewhere inside of these trees is the 50 meter board, and when you do get to the 50 meter board is your time to be braking. And you can use the inside curbing here as well. It will unsettle the car on the exit, so you have to be very careful, but using the inside curbing like this is optimal. Even if the car loses a little bit of traction on the exit, the distance that you save and the aggressive nature of taking the inside curbing can just gain you more time than you'll lose on the exit. So it's difficult, but it's definitely worth doing. Pull the car hard to the right hand side, and at the 50 meter board you'll be braking down into 4th gear and trying to open up this apex as much as possible. So turning in as late as you feel comfortable to do so, meeting the inside apex, avoiding the inside wall, otherwise it will give you an invalidation. And then once your car is straight between the 2 apexes, dab the brake down into 3rd gear, and again using up as much inside curb as possible. It will unsettle the car, but again, the same as the previous corners, using the inside curbing saves you so much distance around the corner that having the car slightly unsettled on the exit is a worthy compromise to make. Accelerating up now, and this is such a difficult braking zone, and you want to be using up all the way to the wall that you feel comfortable to do so, and you'll be braking around 60 meters before this apex down into 3rd gear. And here's a little trick for this corner that you can actually make sure that you exploit the rule books of the game as much as possible with the track limits. So the basic ruling is to always have one tire within the white line at all times, so you can actually cut this apex quite heavily, because as you can see right now, we still have one tire on the track at all times, even while cutting at this aggressive angle, because at the moment my rear tire is still on the track, even if my front left is not. And then by the time my front left has rejoined the track, my rear left is then off the track. So by doing this aggressive cut on the curbing can save you a few attempts and can be exploiting the game to its maximum potential. On the exit, open up the track as much as possible into 4th gear and hold 4th gear through the iconic castle section. There is not really a turn-in reference here, there's not really a braking reference, you really just have to turn in off your own intuition. Try to get to the inside curbing and then just keep the car balanced up the hill, and then make sure that you're as far to the left-hand side as possible as you rise up over the crest. I like to keep it in 4th gear as long as possible through here, as that just helps the stability of the car. And then you're going to be using up the inside curbing as well, letting the car rotate and then avoiding track limits on the exit. Quite simply because although in real life they can run the car all the way to the outside wall, in the game the invalidation is set to this white line with my left-hand side tires. So quite simply, if you run over this white line when you're driving at speed, it will invalidate your lap. Of course, we do not want that. So we're flying now into the end of the second sector, easily flat out through here, and this is where a racing line is so critical and important. You can see the blue advertising board up ahead. You want to be pointing to the right hand side of that advertising board. The MSC advertising is where you want to be pointing your car, and you can see just a small version of the logo as well that my car is directly pointing towards. But an easier reference is the big board at the top of the catch fencing. You can see MCS cruises, and then point to the right hand side of the board as much as possible, and then that'll mean that you're driving in a straight line and you arrive to the very limit of the track potential and braking just before the curb starts on the right hand side, I should say. By following this advertising board, you can see we've gone in a perfectly straight line and we have arrived right to the limit of the track, and this is the perfect place to be turning in from. Try not to take too much of this inside curbing, as it is very aggressive, and with a downhill nature of this corner, what is a decently sized straight actually, with the downhill you gain quite a lot of momentum, so the exit is quite vital here. You can get away with tapping the wall on the exit, and that is something that can gain you a little bit of potential time if you nail it as well, so don't be too afraid of the outside wall. And you'll be braking on the right hand side of the track around 60 meters for the final apex of the lap, and this is really such a critical place. You can take the inside curbing and you can also avoid it. It depends where you want to gain and lose time. So if you take the inside curbing, of course you're going to have better minimum speed in the apex, but you're going to travel a shorter distance and compromise your exit. What means you're going to have a better apex speed, but a worse exit speed. If you avoid the inside curbing, you're going to have less apex speed, but better exit speed onto the back straight. Use as much curbing as possible without going fully over it, as the car can bottom out at that point and lose you a bit of straight line speed potential. So yeah, that's the thing about the final corners, is it's all about compromising for your car setup and your driving style. If you have a car setup that is quite understeery, I would recommend taking the inside curbing to maximize your minimum speed in the corner, as that will just minimize the distance and make your exit a bit more neutralized. If you have a car that's quite oversteery, then avoid the inside curbing, as it will make the car unsettled, and then you can focus on getting the best exit possible onto the straight. And easily flat out, just trying to minimize the distance through these apex here to end the lap, and yeah, easily flat out in a dry qualifying condition, also in the race. Running up to the line in a qualifying spec example, you'll be hanging the car to the left hand side of the track. The reason for that is you're pointing the wheel more in a straight line, and that means that you travel a bit faster without the wheels of the car making any drag or turbulence throughout the air. So that has been the explanation of the lap done. We're going to be jumping now into showing you the setup that I used to get the world record, and then you can see that we used 30, 20, 100, 20, 100, all the way to the left, and then for 41, 3, 21, 21, 21 again, 54, 155 on the brake bias. You can go up to 56 bias if you're having a bit of rear locking and lacking a bit of rear stability, and then 29.2 on the front tire pressure and 26.5 on the rear. In a racing situation, to use in league racing, career mode, or anything in between, I would recommend putting the off-throttle differential to 30, as that'll just make the car a little bit more stable and balanced, especially as the tire degrades over the stint. And like this, the car should be very balanced and have a very nice car feeling as you do your qualifying laps and also your racing stints. With that being said, I'm going to end the commentary now. I'm going to play the full world record hot lap for you, and hopefully you found this video informative, helpful, enjoyable, and everything in between. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Brendon Leigh, and I'll catch you in the next video. Grazie, ciao ciao, bye bye.